It's a warm, quiet summer's day in London. Close your eyes and use your imagination to follow along as we explore Wandsworth Common together. You slowly step off the sidewalk curb, minding traffic as you cross Bellevue Road. To your left, the commuter bus pulls to a stop. 4 passengers board before it continues on towards Battersea. Apart from a frequent bus stop, there's not much traffic midweek at this hour. You leave behind a stretch of quiet storefronts, a gallery with lovely framed art in the window, drawings and paintings of beachscapes and boats at sea. Next door is a pet store. A man walks out and hands a bone to his dog before leading her down the sidewalk. Further down, there is a dress shop, a cafe, and finally a toy store. The toy store has the most elaborate window display of the row. In its window, a model Ferris wheel sits beside a well-furnished dollhouse. You focus on it just long enough to see that the Ferris wheel spins slowly in a clockwise direction. You remind yourself to stop in the toy store on your return home. After reaching the other side of the street, you notice the usual city noises seem to fade away the further and further you enter the green space, slowly replaced by sounds of nature. Your pace and breath slow until they are in perfect sync, following the concrete path. 2 strides forward, 1 big breath in. 2 strides forward, 1 big breath out, and so on. Something crunches softly under your foot, and you stop to investigate. A few small peanut shells are scattered here and there along the pathway. You notice a discarded raffle ticket too, crimson red paper with gold lettering and small perforated edges where it was torn from a larger roll of tickets. These are remnants of the traveling carnival that ended just last night. Set up for a week in the large field to the left, but at present being broken down and packed away. You imagine the carnival sights, sounds, and smells as a handful of employees continue to lower tents and shut food stalls, preparing to head to the next city. Certainly, fun such as this should be shared among more than one place. The path continues along under a broad canopy of sycamore trees, their leaves gently moving in the wind, creating a soft swishing sound. You arrive at a small dock extending out into a secluded duck pond. You hear them before you see them, the insistent quacks from 4 young ducklings as they try to keep up with their mother. The last duckling trailing slightly behind the others. You wish you had a scrap of bread to toss their way. You'll remember to bring some next time. In the distance, you hear the low rumbling of a train. A rail line is obscured by the shrubbery just beyond the duck pond. The noise from the train gets steadily louder as it approaches. The tracks run north to south, and you remember the ocean is at the end of the line to the south. You wonder if the seashore is as delightfully warm as London is today, maybe with a slight breeze. You continue on the path away from the duck pond. On the right is a wide field where several blankets are stretched out here and there, their owners enjoying reading a book or a newspaper section. No one seems to be bothered by, or even notice, the train that just passed by, just calmly present in their respective activities. To the left side of the path stands a long row of houses, each with a small garden enclosed by a stone wall or fence. Most of the walls are covered in ivy or climbing roses. A closer look reveals gates and doors hidden along the wall behind the greenery, secret paths between the private gardens and the larger shared common. How lovely it must be to live near such a wonderful green space. The path continues on, now flanked on each side by a line of lampposts, alternating from one side of the path to the other, one every few yards. They're iron, quite tall, and have ornate finishes with glass enclosures protecting light bulbs not needed on at this very hour. The dark paint is peeled slightly in some spots. Curiously, they remind you of a lamppost described in a children's book, set in a similar wooded area. You hear the sound of children's laughter. It must be coming from the tot lot just farther up the path. A low fence borders the small playground. There are swings, a slide, a jungle gym, and teeter-totters. Wood chips meant to stay in the playground escape under the fence edge, most likely from strollers entering and exiting the gated area. A few children swing or play tag, their caregivers talking to one another on a nearby bench, close enough to keep a watchful eye. Just beside the playground is a small cafe. Near the entrance are several tables arranged on a patio, each with a large green and white striped umbrella, offering some shade from the midday sun. The cafe serves lemonade, coffees, and even ice cream, important treats on a summer day like this. You enter the cafe to pick out an ice cream. A smaller cooler holds different types, from creamsicles, rocket pops, ice cream sandwiches, and push pops. The barista even has soft serve behind the counter. You opt for a rocket pop, thinking it may melt slower than the other options. After paying, you exit the cafe with your ice cream and realize that continuing your walk is much more enjoyable with an ice cream in hand. A few drops of the cherry flavor at the bottom land on your hand. You wipe them away and lick the very bottom, buying some time in the melting process. Steps from the cafe patio lead to a pebbled pathway that encircles a large bowling green, slightly sunken to a lower elevation. Mature hedges separate the path and the green from the rest of the grounds, and you wonder how old the hedges are. The green is not being utilized at the moment, but a groundskeeper slowly passes back and forth across the lawn with a turf roller, likely making it smoother from a morning session or preparing it for one later on. He stops his task every once in a while to inspect a spot of turf or to remove a twig that's blown onto the pristine surface. A scoreboard towards the edge has tallies from the previous game, small white numbers hung on a green board. The equipment is stored and exchanged from the small clubhouse tucked between the scoreboard and an even taller row of hedges beyond. The clubhouse doubles as a pro shop for visitors of the adjacent tennis courts. A lesson is currently underway, and you hear the soft, rhythmic thump, thump, thump of a ball machine launching tennis balls at a repetitive angle. The instructor offers tips for improvement after every 4 or 5 strokes. There must be nearly 100 tennis balls scattered about the court, and you stop to think that the yellow stands out beautifully against the muted gray-green color of the soft court. The sound of the ball machine slowly fades as you begin to retrace your steps back through the common towards your original entrance. Hopefully you can make it back to the toy store before it closes.